I'm about to The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs.
All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. I got an exciting podcast, a different type of podcast today. We got storytelling podcast, which I found very interesting. I met these people at ArtCon, Mark and Karen.
Yes.
And from the House of Branching Paths. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kind of explain to the audience exactly, like, because you guys started like a year ago, and it kind of it's really taken off. You guys got a lot of following already. Kind of for the audience here, we have like an artist kind of group that watches the podcast. Tell us, like, what type of podcast do you guys do?
Yeah, so the House of Branching Paths is a storytelling podcast that is produced and written and acted by us, but then we also have some wonderful actors that are with us as voice artists, and we take classic literature and fairy tales, horror stories, Greek mythology, poetry, and we adapt those into really performance art.
Yeah, sort of breathe new life into them, and it's more akin to an old radio show, kind of like The Shadow or The Green Hornet. Those are some of my inspirations for it. So it's got custom Foley work that we do, and binaural audio to kind of immerse you into the story and the world that we created, which is the House of Branching Paths.
Well, like I said before the podcast, I was listening to your guys' stories all morning, just researching what you guys do. And the first thing I saw, I said to myself when you guys came on, I was like, wow, these people have amazing voices.
Well, thank you.
You guys are like, I was like, man, my voice sucks. And these
No.
you guys have beautiful voices.
Thank you.
But I did find it very interesting because I like what you're saying with the Foley artist, how you know, it wasn't just like you reading a book. It's actually like with sound effects, and then even like the different voice characters you have. You guys are emphasizing like what's going on in the scene.
Yes.
I got the Spotify. I actually want to play a little sample for the audience here. Which would you like me to play for like a little sample?
Oh, geez.
We all love them so much. It's like choosing between your children.
Let's get a section from the Little Mermaid there. Let's hit that one.
I was actually okay. You guys.
The following presentation is best experienced with headphones.
I love it. The music brings you into like it sets the tone.
Yeah,
set the tone. Yeah.
All of our music, we have an in-house producer or music writer that writes and composes. Composer, that's the word.
Yes, composer. Yes. So all of the music that you hear in our podcast is original works by Elegy.
Okay.
Honored guests, it is good to be back on this side of the house. Now, we will be going to the library this evening, where the Circle has kept Greer and Nan after they retrieved us all. Tonight it will be decided how Greer and Nan will move forward with the house. You must understand, though, honored guests, that the Circle and the house residents want your input on this important matter. It will be determined what Nan's fate is with her part in the dramatic happenings that have befallen the house. Your opinion is most important, as you were all personally affected. Ah, here we are. The shelves are so beautiful, lined with books once again.
So as you can kind of hear as we're going in, it's we not only have the stories that we're highlighting and that we're telling, but we each season has an overarching story of things that happen to the storytelling characters that we and our actors have created together, and the house itselse and the world within
Explain it, because you got two. I looked on your YouTube. You guys have 2 seasons, which 2 seasons going on. So how? Because there are different types of stories. You got the mermaid, then you got Dracula. How do you branch the characters within the different stories in the one
Good
season.
choice of word.
Yes. Yes. So with our characters, like Mark had said, we have the storytellers that are a part of the house, and they have an overarching story that is happening in season 1 with Emrys and Morgana, and then in season 2 when we have new storytellers, and we kind of explore what that dynamic is between them, because it's only been them for a many number of years. And so the stories and the poems that we choose then go with the theme that we are trying to knit into the entire season. So for season 1, we were searching for new storytellers because we wanted to add them, and so some of the stories.
Yeah, a lot of our stories became ones of this searching for things that were lost, or trying to regain the glory of the past, or what have you, or searching for new things. Whereas in season 2, we had all these new storytellers come in, and so that started us off with this like growing pains kind of theme that we were building on, and then we introduced the first ever like antagonist of the podcast in season 2, so that introduced a lot of conflict, which we were able to show off in the themes of some of the stories we have.
And a lot of mystery, so there's a lot of horror that we adapted in season 2 because we were searching for this, scariness that was coming from the house. And we actually, in season 2, adapted our first full-length novel that was split up over 4 episodes, and we chose The Wizard of Oz because season 2 was about this journey together of these new storytellers that are becoming friends. And so we thought, well, what better story than The Wizard of Oz, where you're meeting all these new people and learning how to work together and defeating a big bad, that kind of thing.
It hit all the right notes for the season and kind of became our guide to how we were going to create the arc of the season.
And of course at the end we there's no place like home, right? So of course we wanted to tie that in because the house is everything to us.
So how obviously the stories, they're from fairy tales and fables, but do you guys rewrite these stories, or how do you get it? Because obviously you're improving.
That is Carol Ann's special magic she adds to the process. She's figured out kind of a technique for adapting them that creates our sound. If you want to talk more
So
to that.
When we decide on what stories we're going to do, so for The Wizard of Oz, we sectioned the book off into the chapters that we wanted to include in each episode. Or if we're doing, something like The Little Mermaid, or we're doing a different fairy tale, we'll take that full fairy tale, unless it's a very long one, and then we'll go ahead and split that up. And I will have that in a document. And of course, there's lines of dialogue already written, and I like to keep those as intact as I can. And then I assign those lines to the storytellers. And then the narration or the descriptors that are used in the story will become narration, or it will become something that we have kind of grown with the podcast, is these lines where everybody speaks, or they're whispered here and there, with the audio. So you might hear something in the background or hear something in the foreground to kind of create this little bubble that you go into in the story.
You're writing that in the script with the sound effects. Like, are you adding that when you're kind of writing it out, like ideas?
We have ideas for it when we're writing it, but then of course Mark is our sound artist, so he goes in and looks at the scripts and says, oh well, that could work, but this might even be better, and he really goes in and perfects it.
As I'm going through, like I said, we don't use canned sounds. There are some sounds that I've made with Foley work that I now love so much that I have used multiple times, but almost everything we have is something that I listen to the episode. I think one of the best examples is Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and we did the horse race between Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman, and for that I was in the booth listening to the audio with my Foley instruments going right in time with the story.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I did it once for Ichabod and then went back and overlayed again for
You're
for the
overlaying and
Headless
doing it live,
Horseman.
and you're not just with the digital thing inserting different things. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Some of them are things that I'm like, okay, I need this sound, and I can just do it in its own file and then throw it in. But a lot of the the really immersive stuff you hear is stuff that I've got headphones on in the booth, and I'm doing that live with the actual audio that we've recorded already.
Yeah,
so.
and we get really creative with our sound. It's a lot of fun. Like there's, I think on our social media, there's a video of us doing the sound for our Alice in Wonderland episode.
Yes.
So another one of our storytellers.
Oh, yeah, right. The one that's in the middle above that one.
Oh, right here?
Yeah,
oh,
that
yes.
one.
Yes.
Oh.
And bade the seafarers not to be afraid of coming down there.
The little mermaid saw her sisters go and said,
Oh, if only I was 15. I know I shall become really fond of that world up there. And of all
So that was the...
It kind of gives you a little bit different perspective when you
Yeah.
see you guys do in the studio. It's,
Yeah, because then I take that and cut it up and intermingle it, mix
Yes.
it, and all that to create the soundscapes.
That was playing croquet.
right. How did you guys get inspired to do this? Was it influenced by another podcast, or because I remember growing up, I used to have these books that you would put a cassette tape in, and you would be able to follow along with the childhood stories.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And you would be able to listen to it. That's how I kind of got familiar with all these fairy tales when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, the original idea, I mean, Mark and I both love storytelling, and we've both been in theater for a long time
Okay.
and have that background of acting. And we wanted this to be a staged show. And, you know, pulling that together is a very, very long process.
Takes a lot of money, takes a lot of people
Right.
cooperating with you, and I've been working as a semi-professional voice actor for a few years and had
Okay.
my own studio set up and training in how to do all the editing, mixing, mastering, and stuff. So it was actually like the week before Carol Ann's wedding that I had a epiphany, and then at her wedding I came up and just said, I don't know if this is the time, but I have an idea. And she just pulled me to the side and said, no, pitch it
Wait,
now.
what is it? What is it? So,
And the wedding. That's
yeah,
what-
so the anniversary of my wedding is also the anniversary of the inception of the House of Branching
Gotcha.
Paths as a podcast. So, yeah.
So
Wow. So theater background. So you guys grew up doing theater in high school. And
Oh, yeah.
things
Well,
like that?
she did.
Oh, okay.
I came to it much later in life.
Okay.
I was I started off actually in the Ren Fair circuit,
Okay.
and did St. Louis Ren Fair and Central Missouri Renaissance Festival for a number of years before eventually getting pulled on stage by friends of mine who were doing community theater that I'd met through the Ren Fair, and then eventually meeting Carol Ann at a festival we were both performing at. So, and then I mentioned The Shadow and Green Hornet and all that.
Yeah.
And those were some of our inspirations for it, as well as
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson Storyteller, Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater, like those things that took these old stories and found a new way to present them in a way that was relevant to the time that they were being made, and
Kind of reminds me of the movie Radio Days. You know, it's like back in the old radio days where they had like.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, another thing that's really important to us is, you know, we want to emphasize that all these stories can be found at the library. We want to revitalize, you know, people's love and interest in going to the library again.
Yeah, which is good.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
segue
yes,
here.
good
So you
segue.
guys
There we
got
are.
at Winter Whimsy
Yeah.
at the Spencer Library branch. That's in St. Peter's, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, we it's our first time that we're partnering with the St. Charles County Library.
We're very excited about it. This is actually our second live performance that we've done. So
Yes.
our first was at the Showboat Theater in Herman, Missouri. And we did Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Yes, we adapted
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast. And that was more of a reader's theater, but we also had live music and live Foley at that performance. Yeah, there's
Yeah, there we
one
are.
of our promos for it.
I knew I seen. Oh, they recognize you with the hair.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, yeah, she does quite the transformation.
I wear many faces, many hats.
So yeah, and that was kind of if you've ever seen some of the live radio play stuff. It was us up there as actors reading from our scripts, doing the Foley work on stage, and we had a musician up there doing we had Elegy up there doing our music as we went.
It was really amazing because as you spoke about the Enchanted Rose, then Elegy would play the theme of the rose. So it was really cool, and we would love to incorporate that more in season 3.
And so your audience, you're playing to kids and adults with this type of shows.
It's we're aiming at that kind of thing that the whole family can appreciate. That kids will listen to and they'll like it for the colorful characters and the fun noise, fun sound effects and things, but that adults can also listen to and kind of recapture some of the magic of these stories from what they remember from when they were little. And also we're presenting some stories in ways that people haven't heard them in decades. So, because we're going back to the original source material for everything
for the pre-Disney days.
Yes,
exactly. So, that was one of our, when we were talking about doing Beauty and the Beast, when we were doing marketing for it, we were saying, this is the version that you may not have heard before because we went back and used the original source material. And then for this upcoming show, we're doing something a little different. We'll be our storyteller characters for it. That's what you see on the advertisements for it is her as Lady Morgana, me as Grandmaster Imris. And so we'll be in character and kind of involving the audience more. And an interactive show.
How do you do that with the storyline and being interactive with the audience? It's just questions you talk.
Some of it's going to be some call and response. Some of it will be maybe pulling a participant up on stage to aid us in acting out specific things and stuff like that, just to kind of remind everybody that storytelling is an interactive experience. It's its own immersion because as someone's telling you a story, you're picturing it in your head, you're building it too. So
and our show for Winter Whimsy, we will be telling 3 winter tales, and our theme, we thought it very fitting that we go with the trees of winter, since the House of Branching Paths and the branches are very important to us. And with this being a different iteration of our live shows, we thought, that would be so good, to take the different holiday trees and their backstories, and it's a lot of 2 of our tales are Swedish folk tales.
Yes.
And then the other is Celtic. Yes. So we were very excited.
Okay. So, because I noticed you got some like the Little Mermaid and there's a couple of them I don't know. I guess, so I guess with your research, are you trying to use other like you said other countries, kind of their fables and their fairy tales and incorporate those?
Yeah,
because eventually you're going to run out of all the fairy tales, right? Yeah.
If we stuck with the ones that Disney's already done, we'd run out by season 2.
Right.
But it's one of the things. I grew up going to the library and picking up fairy tales, folk tales. I've got an entire bookshelf in my library of books that is entirely dedicated to folk tales, legends, and mythology. So I like to pull from, we're trying to do some stories that people know, because that's going to be how people find us, as they're like, oh, well, I want to hear how they do Little Mermaid or whatever. But we also want to reach into some of those stories that people may not know, and introduce them to things like Jorinda and Joringel, and
our very first episode, East of the Sun, West of the Moon. Not many people know that that's actually one of the origins for Beauty and the Beast, but it's one of the lesser known ones, and we're very, very proud of that episode.
It's one of I was very happy to be doing that as the first episode. Is probably my favorite fairy tale of all time.
One day that will be the show that we do fully staged with a bear puppet and everything, because
we have big plans for that.
Very big plans
in the future.
Well, you touched about your childhood. What was the first fairy tale that you can remember as a kid?
Oh my goodness.
I have a good. If you're thinking,
go ahead.
The first movie that I ever watched as a child was The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, really?
Which was
nice.
So for season 2, I guess that comes kind of full circle.
It might have been The Wizard of Oz for me, but I think I can just remember Pinocchio was like my favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite.
Yeah, and I think honestly, one of the ones that really hit me and stuck with me as a kid, and one of the reasons why I wanted to be a voice actor was Disney's Aladdin. And that kind of sent me towards reading the Arabian Nights and getting into the Grimm Brothers fairy tales and everything else, and also made me want to be Robin Williams when I grew up. So,
well, and we try to your question about doing, you know, the different kinds of stories. We do try to keep our voice actors and our cast of characters very diverse, so that we are able to branch out and do, you know, different kinds of stories. Like for season 2, we did our first like folk tale.
Yeah, Tall Tale.
Tall Tale, yes. We did John Henry, which we're at one that we're also very happy with and very proud of.
Yeah, and we brought in a guest performer for that.
We did, to play John Henry.
Which Donald Kidd, who was just a phenomenal performer, was great to work with.
I loved your, I guess it's your TikTok video about voice actors.
Oh, yes, that is one of our popular ones.
That has to be, it's pretty good, because I know a bunch of friends, they're voice actors, and
Yes, eating all the green apples and drinking all the water and all the coughing.
Does green apples help your voice? How do you prep your voice before you go into the booth?
So, I make...
Water?
Yes, water is important. I make sure to always kind of do a warm up the morning of. That way, I'm not going from cold to performing. And then, a lot of it is in, you know, drinking the right stuff beforehand, making sure you're drinking water and not, you know, the
room temperature water.
The sticky sodas and stuff like that. Tea's great too, because the warm liquid will help warm up your vocal cords.
We brew a lot of tea.
Then there's the little tricks like she said, green apples. Green apples eliminate mouth noise. So
really,
if you've got a lot of pops and clicks, it's
something with the
that
sour.
It like constricts the saliva glands in your mouth, like because it puckers everything up.
Oh, gotcha.
So you produce less of that. So that's something that I was taught when I went through my training on voice acting, was make sure you're hydrated the day before to avoid mouth noise, but if you're getting some mouth noise, get yourself some green apples, and they'll help cut that down.
Do you guys record all like at a round circle, or so you're kind of playing off each other's emotions, or is it kind of you go in the booth first and then?
We do everything. So this past year, we had Bernie, our binaural microphone.
I think Bernie's on here somewhere.
Is this Bernie right here?
Bernie is where is he? He's the Frankenstein mask.
Oh, there.
Wait, go back. There's Bernie.
There he is.
Right here.
Yes.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. So that's my homemade binaural microphone that I built myself, and it worked well enough. So we had Bernie in the middle of all of us, and we all sat in a circle, and that got us our directional audio for when people are talking in that circle there. But we do record with everybody in the booth that's going to be involved in the story, and that does let us play off of each other, let us work with what we're doing, because we have some very talented performers, and sometimes they go directions that we didn't think about that work great. So
and Bernie has
encourage that.
Yeah, Bernie has microphones in his ears. So if there was ever a spot like Medusa, for example, when I played Medusa, we wanted the snake sounds to be heard all around the listener, and so I got up and walked around Bernie and made the hissing sounds in one ear and then did the other
which gives
ear.
You that experience of it going around you in a circle and kind of surrounding you and all of that.
Or sometimes we would have some of our narrators get up close to Bernie's ears and say something in one ear and something in the other ear. I think we did that for Dracula.
Yeah. And so, I forgot what I was going to say. So all the actors, how do you recruit them? Do you just through friends of friends? I mean, how really? Because you do. I noticed that with the cast, it is very. I mean, everybody's very good. Like all A-listers. Yeah.
Really, the season 1, we reached out to friends of ours that we'd performed with initially. We had some people that we immediately wanted to get involved in the project with, and
that we'd acted with for a number of years and knew how amazing they are. But then for our next season, we did hold auditions. So
yeah, so we just that was what.
September.
Yeah, September. Oh my gosh, that's so
I know.
long ago now.
Well, I always talk about the process on the show, but it's neat how you're saying that you have the storyline, but yet it's still different when you go in the booth and it keeps it fresh because people are bringing their different stuff to it. So it's kind of interesting how you do it. Are there characters that you kind of gravitate to, like when you want to do a story, you're like, oh, I really want to play Medusa. Like,
yeah,
I wonder how Medusa would sound.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Well, some of the characters, like when I am assigning, as I'm writing and I'm assigning characters, our storytellers do have backstories, and they have titles and types of themes that they are drawn to. So for Emrys,
Emrys is kind of those roots for the underdog, it's those stories where the meekest person comes out on top, and so but is also therefore kind of a mentor character. So when there's those mentor voices that come up and things like that, a lot of those will go to me.
So for example, in Frankenstein, Emrys was one of the professors that Dr. Frankenstein spoke to, and Morgana, Lady Morgana, likes creatures of water and witches and spells, and so any of those types of characters Morgana is very drawn to. But then we have the Traveler is a character, and so when we have somebody going on a journey, like when we did Gulliver's Travels, the Traveler played Gulliver. And we have storytellers. It's also a collaborative experience together when we're choosing stories. We like to have the storytellers involved. Those aren't decisions that we just make ourselves. Yeah. We have an outline, but then we're currently in the process.
Yeah, we're currently getting submissions from our storytellers for season 3 to tell us. We have some that we know that we're like, okay, we're definitely doing these, but then we left openings to say, hey, what are stories that you'd like for us to tell in this upcoming season?
Well, and one of our storytellers really surprised us. They came to us because they all create their own backstories.
Right, yeah.
And this particular character wanted to be a storyteller of new works, and that was something we were kind of toying with, and we were like, oh, this would be amazing. Thank you so much for coming to us with this. And so we're trying to branch out and maybe get some original works and stuff like that, and that's all from that storyteller's idea that we had kind of been toying with, but then they took it and run with it, and we were like, this is amazing. They are taking this idea and expanding upon it, and that's
so for season 3 we've got several episodes that we've held open for some writers that we know are working on some original stuff that will premiere for the first time ever on the podcast. So
when you do your character, do you try to visualize what that person looks like? Or like, because I did a little acting, I'm not as great as you guys, but I'll find the character once I find the clothes. Yeah. Like, what I'm saying, once I put on like a certain type of outfit or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a different person then, so it's easier for me to break that barrier. Mm-hmm. Is there kind of...
For me, it's even when I'm up on stage, the first thing I find is the sound. It's the first thing I find is, what does this person's voice sound like? And I have certain things I do with every character when I'm sitting down with them. Like one of the weirdest and silliest little ones is I ask myself on every character, are they an either or an either person? Because both pronunciations are right, but both have a different feel to them. So, so I find that voice, and that kind of leads me to like, okay, now what appearance fits this voice? What body language fits this voice and everything?
Yeah, I'm a very physical actor. I teach theater. One of my favorite acting techniques to teach is very physical, and so when I am walking into the booth, I kind of know, okay, well now I'm Lady Morgana, and there's a blooper reel. Some actors have, like, especially when we're doing voices, we have a word that will help,
like an activation phrase.
An activation phrase. For Lady Morgana, it's Lady Morgana, and there's a blooper reel with just me saying it like
80 times.
Oh, I think that you got that on your spot. You have some bloopers on your Spotify. Did you not have a bloopers reel or something?
Those are on our
Patreon page.
Oh, on the Patreon page.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, So we have
Well
have
worth it.
a little bit of content up on the Patreon, and I need to get more up there. We'll be getting we'll actually be putting up soon. I guess we can announce that now.
Yeah.
Soon we'll be posting up the full Wizard of Oz with some bonus scenes that weren't on the original podcast. Will be going up on the Patreon probably in the next week or so. So because it's pretty much ready to go. So
we like I said, we adapted the full novel, so it's all there. But then for the Spotify and iHeart YouTube episodes, we wanted to hit a certain amount of time, and we also wanted to have that exclusive content for our Patreon listeners. And so that full, it's a 90-minute episode. That full 90-minute episode will have scenes that were not originally in the episodes released.
Okay.
And we also have different stories that are not on the regular audience. We have bedtime stories on our Patreon, and we have our blooper reel and access to all of our soundscapes. So if you listen to the episodes and you hear, for example, the library, I love the library. In the library, you can hear like the pages turning, and you can hear a little cat meow in the background, and you get access to those. So if you're studying or you're doing something and you just want to play the library background, you can.
You want to just hang out in the House of Branching Paths, you can hang out in the auditorium or the
or the garden.
The garden, or
the Halloween, the crypt.
The crypt.
You can be in the crypt. I like that one too.
So, and play that. Each soundscape, I try and get it to be pretty much unique for about a 30-minute span. So you get by the time it repeats, you don't remember what the beginning sounded like anyway. So so something you can kind of put on a loop and work with.
Doing the audio stuff, and then now it feels like it's going into like stage performances. Is that where like you hope to take a lot of these stories and perform them in front of an audience?
I think the podcast will always be home base. I don't think that will ever go away, but we definitely would like to punctuate a lot of our, episodes and our creative ideas with live performance. I think that would be.
Since we both come from that live performance base.
Right, you get that drug, I guess it's like a drug of action, right, of people.
Yeah, and she's got all the experience of like the director side of things and all of that, and I've done scenic carpentry, and so we have like skill bases that we're like once we get the following, once we get some more financial backing behind us, we can put together something cool.
We've done. Mark has shown me he said, he has a background in carpentry, and he's shown me, a model of what it can be, and I'm like, I want to get there so bad because it'll be so good.
Well, you're doing pretty well. You're only been doing it for less than a year. You said your TikTok following is really taken off.
Our TikTok, our Instagram is I think our largest following so far, but
Yeah, and we're still pushing for people. Any of our followers out there who have not followed us on Spotify, go do that now.
Please go do that.
I don't think a lot of people know you can follow people on Spotify, so that becomes a thing. But
even then, we're listened to in
16 countries and across I did the count 39 states now. Okay. So
which states is not listening? That's
I know.
I think and it's weird ones because I think we have Hawaii and Alaska, so it's like Montana that we don't have.
Come on, Montana.
It's ones that you're like, you would expect it would be these outlier ones but it's ones that are more central that we don't have. I can't even remember all of the ones that it is, but I did that count just before I came here to double check. But
if you are a listener, thank you, and we love you.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's a hard. Social media is a hard game to play. I tell you. Did you feel like going to like Archon and different conventions like that? Does that help with a boost with getting recognized or getting
Well,
name out there?
we had a wonderful experience at PopCon.
Yes, PopCon Indy, where we won the PopCon podcast award for
Yes.
Best Kids and Family.
Yes, we were
podcast.
so excited for that. And
Yeah. There's the moment.
Now, would this video have gone up there if you guys would have lost? That's
yeah, why not?
All content's content.
What's that old saying? Record everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
but that was a great experience and gave us a pretty good boost as we got to talk to other podcasters and things like that. And then it was great getting to meet some people at Archon. We actually hit what I consider a huge milestone where we had somebody come up to us that I didn't know and nobody at the table knew and say, "Oh my gosh, House of Branching Paths, I love you guys. I've been listening to you since."
Wow.
And I'm like, to meet somebody who's a fan that doesn't know us, like that was a really cool experience there.
And that's what I love about theater. I mean, even in doing other things, if I can touch, one person, if I can get them, to connect with something that I'm doing, that's what makes it all worth it. And so to eventually have people come up to us and say, "Oh my gosh, I remember listening to this episode," or "How did you do that one thing?" or "I love it so," that kind of stuff. So.
Do you guys ever think about making your own fairy tale? You got all these great inspirations from all these other ones, or maybe taking like a mixture of this character from this here and put them all together in something.
It's actually something that I've been wanting to work on, and you'll actually find one of the episodes that we're going to be doing next season that'll be original work is a story that I wrote that kind of follows in some of that fairy tale tradition, and all of that, so that we will be doing that.
Because Mark is
season.
Also an amazing writer. But we did, in this season 2, our episode 18, I think it is, the Fight for Our House. That was kind of our first leap into writing a fully original story. Okay. So that episode is just the storytellers and them going to rescue the members of the house that have been captured by the big bad Greer in season 2, the dragon. And so that one is just fully our journey to go rescue them, which was fun.
But it is something, like I said, I've been reading fairy tales and folk tales and all that for a long time, and anybody who's studied folklore and mythology get to start seeing patterns in it and things, and so it's been something that I've wanted to try my hand at following some of those patterns and weave a new fairy tale that feels like an old fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, just to tease season 3, I read Mark's original story that we're going to be doing, and when I got done with it, I was like, what? What just happened? So get ready for that.
And that's going to be at the end of the season 3, or is that going to be?
That one will be towards the end.
Yeah, we'll be putting that one towards the end. We do have some other like some other writers, like we said, that are currently working on stories that will be premiering kind of in the middle of the season, too. So you can watch out for that.
This season 3, it will have a very large theme of self-discovery for some of our storytellers. So that will be woven into themes of stories and things that we're doing. So
and we've added 3 new storytellers. We have nearly everyone from season 2 returning. Yes, and I think
there are going to be 8 of us in rotation for season 3, and I actually worked on the schedule. Was that last night I sent you that? I was working on the schedule.
It was
a fever dream.
Right now.
Trying to get, which episodes are these storytellers in and everything.
It takes a lot of work, because we do little skits and stuff too, and films and stuff. It takes a lot to get people together, find the schedule, because everybody has their day jobs. And so
right.
To get that. So it takes a lot of work what you guys are doing. So it's awesome. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
I've
never met anybody that does what you guys do. That's why I find it very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, So season 3, when can we expect season 3 to come out? How do you guys release the episodes? You do 1 week or?
They're released weekly. Between what was it? Did we do May through
September?
So you could expect the season 3 to premiere the first Thursday of May, which I don't calendar well, so I have no idea what day that is. But we release every Thursday from May through till the end of September, and then we have 2 holiday specials each season, which means we do have one last episode of season 3 coming out the Thursday before Christmas. That will be our Christmas specials. So
season 3, I just looked at the calendar, should be around May 22nd.
May 22nd. There we go.
Yes. But they, like Mark was saying, are weekly every Thursday, and then we have 2 holiday episodes. So we still have 1 more episode to release for season 2, and we'll be, I don't know if I can say, we'll be continuing
Thanksgiving Day? You think it's going to be released Thanksgiving?
No, it'll be the whatever that is, the 21st or something. I can't remember.
It's the 19th. It's
the 19th.
When we're performing.
Yes, the 19th of December.
So, Yes, so we will be continuing a tale that we have visited previously.
yes. So
awesome. And do you guys sell the merch? I see you guys wearing the nice shirts.
We do.
Yeah. Well, these were testers that we haven't yet figured out a good logistic way to
T-shirts
to
for our audience members are coming, but we do have
our wonderful if I can.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
We've got
canvas
bags.
How did you come?
So
I didn't even ask how you came up with the name or even the logo.
Well, the logo I drew. So that was
an original.
And, it once again draws from those old traditions, so it's kind of based on that tree of life.
Yes.
Gotcha. But I did my own kind of knot work with it, and drew up the trunk with the S for storytelling.
I do have an overhead cam. I know where for stuff.
Oh, amazing.
There we go.
You might be able to see it a little better there.
There we go.
Oh, perfect.
So as I was working on it, this is an idea that I have actually, the idea for this logo design is actually something that I've been working on for years, well before House of Branching Paths. And it was in looking at this logo and thinking about, like I said, the patterns that develop in fairy tales and how those all come together and intertwine and branch off of each other to create all the different tales we know. That's where the idea of branching paths came from, and so I just put it in a house. It was one of those. Is like it needs to be somewhere, and the House of Branching Paths sounded cool. So.
Yeah. And we see the house as a central location for these stories, but then as you'll hear in the episodes, if you go through one doorway, all of a sudden you're in Wonderland, or you go through another doorway and you're at the Atlantis. So
it's this in between place where all possibilities kind of come together and then branch out from there. And the name kind of helped us build that idea.
And we also have lots of stickers and buttons.
Yes, I have those in here.
That's a great question. So obviously they can on the Patreon, if you guys are interested, there's 3 tiers there.
Yes.
Where could they get the stickers and stuff? Do they go?
We are currently working on on figuring out the website thing that would allow people to buy them online. But
if you come see us
right
live,
now, anytime we appear live, we will have these out for sale.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in picking any of them up,
that's our
that's our newest one, and then we have our
pride sticker.
Our pride sticker there. So.
And this one right here, I see the crackle of a story on those flames is something that we always say to begin our story.
Yes, the flames are very central to the idea of storytelling and all that. So
around a fire.
We center it all around a fire. So.
Well, that's the first form of entertainment, really, if you think about
it. Yes,
right,
absolutely.
Right. There's people who people who study that and think that it was watching those flames that first ignited our imagination to create the stories that we have. So that's where the Skaldric flame is something that appears in every episode, and it's what the storytellers gather around and what they invite you to sit around with them.
Yeah, you hear it in every episode, and
it's becoming it's becoming its own character in some
It
ways.
is. It is, because sometimes we don't want to tell the stories that it chooses, or we're very happy about the stories, or you know, we're why are you making me tell this one? You know, that kind of thing. So,
well, it's very interesting. So, thank you guys for coming on the podcast. This was great.
Thank you.
Anything else we want to plug before we?
Just, I guess we didn't let people know that the library show we have coming up is completely free.
Yes.
You just log into the St. Charles County Library website, or you don't even have to log on. Just get onto that site and then go to their events, and you can RSVP to be there.
Yeah, our event is currently listed on the St. Charles City Library website on the homepage. And if you click that, you can reserve your spots. You don't need a library card to go, but if you want to reserve, you can enter your library card in. And that is Thursday, December 5th at 7 p.m. And if you want to, you know, it's a family event, so if you want to bring little ones, the show won't be too long, so, and it'll be very interactive. We'll have our merch available and opportunities for everybody to kind of be a part of the show.
And then the day after that, for anybody who couldn't make that, because we can't calendar well, but
we do everything or nothing.
The day after that, we'll be attending, we'll be at a table for the Science Center's Lord of the Rings First Friday too. So if people want to come meet us there, we'll have our merch. They can talk to us about the podcast.
At the Science Center?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
At the Science Center. And then if you show us that you follow us on any of our listening platforms like Spotify or iHeart or YouTube, then you get a free button.
Yeah, we have giveaways for our followers
We
if
do.
they find us in the wild, as it was.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can just follow us right there. You don't have to.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
And you can get your button.
I actually, so with St. Louis, you feel like St. Louis is a really good market for art and stuff like this? I mean,
It has a lot of potential to it, and it's growing in great directions. There's a lot of fantastic performance spaces that have begun
that have just popped up.
I think I feel like that's from the guests have been on the podcast is after like the pandemic, a lot of things are happening. It seems like
it's interesting because it seemed like the pandemic killed a lot of the old performance spaces and things that were going on, which was really sad to see them go. But in the vacuum they've created, we're seeing this resurgence of things.
I feel that St. Louis is very supportive of art. I feel that, you know, in creative spaces, you know, if you have an idea for something, then I feel like it can happen because there's so many supporters of it here, and I feel like it's a thriving art community, I feel. So,
yeah, we met at Archon, and this is my first year going to Archon. Crazy party nights, guys. I get a little wild at nights, but that's been around like 30 years, right? I mean, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it's been around forever. Yeah. And it was our first year there.
Yes.
Oh, it was your first? Okay, and you were in the same boat.
Yeah. So we were just kind of taking it all in too. Yeah. So, but I'd heard about it for years.
Yeah, same
the
here.
Ren Fair circuit and everything else. So there's potential, and there's people are eager to support what's out there, and there's a lot of room for growth in it. So
absolutely. I think eager to participate in a form of art that you know maybe they haven't experienced before, and so we want to let you all know that we're here.
I think it's cool. I'm gonna try to make that Thursday show.
Thank you.
I'll be interested to watch it. Watch it live. So.
Yeah, I would love to hear what you think of it.
It'd be neat to see it live. Yeah. Maybe we could do something next time. You guys bring the whole voice actors. You guys.
Sure.
Oh yeah. We put together something.
Here. Sure.
Yeah. I have to show you the whole basement, but we have a side stage, and we could do something like.
Absolutely. I mean, even
and
that
costume or something maybe.
I mean, even there's a video somewhere that features us saying together like the fire burns bright with stories ever glowing and or ever knowing, and I wrote it. I should know. And with stories ever knowing, and just hearing us all say it together, like that first recording session where we had brought in more people and it wasn't just us two. We both of us like looked at each other and we were like,
just had that goosebump moment. It derailed the recording for a second as we're just like, we need a minute.
We need a minute.
So the power of all those voices together. We could definitely put something together and share it with your followers.
Absolutely.
Sure. Well, thank you guys again for being on the podcast. This was great.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
much. Thank you guys for making time. Yeah, we were going back and forth. It's hard to get. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
schedule.
The holidays come, and
right?
It's like, oh my gosh.
I was trying to get it before the holiday because I know how it is. Yeah, once the holidays start. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys again. Definitely check them out on. We got YouTube, we got TikTok, we got Instagram, Spotify, and I believe iHeart.
Yes, iHeartRadio. Yes. Oh, and our for our YouTube followers, we do have, if it is something that interests you, we have ASL interpreted videos for season 1. So
yes.
Yeah, let's hear. It's just.
Yeah.
Let me go back to that.
Yeah.
It was.
I want to show that real fast because I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was something we worked with. Some local ASL performers, and we still have 2 episodes left. The scheduling conflict started coming up. We're going to get the last 2 episodes of season 1 done, and we'll get season 2
eventually
done with ASL interpretation
I think
too.
These people that do this stuff is amazing because my brain can't even think of a word sometimes, and they got to know all the words by with their hands.
And if you watch them, you can see the characterization in their body language and the speed of how they do things. She was directing the process. I was just sitting there, slack-jawed in awe of what they were doing.
That's how I am when I see that.
And this is Zachary Judlowski and Anna Rojas for our season 1 videos, and they did an incredible job. And we want our art to be accessible to as many people as possible. So that's why we wanted to do this project, and it's a project that's very important to us, and we will continue in the future.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you guys for watching the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. We'll be check out the website, www.artistunitednetwork.com. We'll see you guys again later. It's been a second since I did
The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs.